Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is the second movie in our second Harry Potter event. We have Dana and Eric with us still.
Hello.
Hello.
And this is an adventure family fantasy film from 2007. Has 7.5 on 457,337 votes. The spoiler-free synopsis. Now in his 5th year at Hogwarts, Harry learns that many in the wizarding community do not know the truth of his encounter with Lord Voldemort. Cornelius Fudge, Minister of Magic, appoints his toady Dolores Umbridge as Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, for he fears that Professor Dumbledore will take his job. But her teaching is deficient and her methods cruel, so Harry prepares a group of students to defend the school against the rising tide of evil.
Nice.
Evil. Every villain is lemons.
Alright, so this is directed by David Yates. He's directed so far the past 2 Fantastic Beasts movies. He will direct the rest of the Harry Potter movies that we're going to talk about. And The Legend of Tarzan. And, of course, the stars, our golden trio here. Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint.
So, Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 78% on 250 critical reviews. Too Fresh, Bruce Doines. By focusing on the story on Harry and his exploits, Gates dispenses of many of the novel's subplots and is able to push the story forward, ominously foreshadowing the dark times to come. Wally Hammond. Performances are more mature, the soundtrack less grandiose, and Yates executes some thrilling set pieces.
I like the score for this one, going off of that little review. Because, I mean, it's not as, over the top, but I think it's because it got darker. Yeah. So there's less of, the quote-unquote magical feel to it. But I think there's still some really good pieces and movements in it. So that's an interesting movie.
Yeah. So, Too Rotten, Kyle Smith, brought me straight back to one of the most enduring of childhood feelings. Boredom.
Yikes.
That's kind of rude.
Okay. Well.
That's kind of rude.
A little bit.
Joanne Kaufman. Director David Yates, who is new to the Harry Potter franchise, moves the story along briskly at the expense of texture and nuance. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just I feel like that's just kind of the name of the game here till the end of the road.
Yeah.
But it's alright, at least they realized it.
So, Harry Potter, or the consensus, it's not easy to take the longest Harry Potter book and streamline it into the shortest Harry Potter movie, but director David Yates does a bang-up job of it, creating an Order of the Phoenix that's entertaining and action-packed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting that it was the longest book with the shortest movie.
Yeah, the book's 870 pages long.
So many pages.
It's I think that's the exact number, if I remember correctly.
So the income. The budget for this film was $150 million. The domestic gross, $292,137,260. The foreign gross, $647,881,191. For a worldwide total of $940,018,451. All-time domestic rank is number 91. Its highest all-time rank, it hit on November 8th, 2007, was number 28. So the awards, it was nominated for 42, and it won 14.
It's not bad.
So, the AFI Awards is that same one, the Harry Potter series special award. The Art Directors Guild Contribution to Cinematic Imagery Award. The ASCAP Film and Television Music Awards. Top Box Office Films. Empire Awards, it won Best Director. European Film Awards, Audience Award, Best Director. Golden Trailer Awards, Best Animation Family TV Spot for Great Wizards. Okay. Las Vegas Film Critics Society Awards, Best Art Direction. National Movie Awards in the UK. Best Family, the Best Performance by a Male, Daniel Radcliffe. Best Performance by a Female, Emma Watson. People's Choice Awards, Favorite Movie Drama. Sci-Fi Portal Genre Awards, Best Actress in a Movie, Emma Watson. Teen Choice Awards, Choice Summer Movie, Drama, Action, Adventure. Visual Effects Society, Outstanding Special Effects in a Motion Picture. And that's it.
Cool. That's a good one.
So, initial thoughts.
Oh. This one is going to kind of pull on the same thread as the last one, where it's like, book is better than the movie, but that's just kind of the general consensus. This one is definitely darker than any that we've seen thus far. I almost feel like this one's even darker than Half-Blood Prince is once we get to that one. That's just me, though. Mostly because there's a lot of stuff going on with Harry personally. They're right in the sense that it kind of pulls back away from everybody else and it focuses on him again. So,
at the same time where it focuses on him, it focuses on the kids again.
Yeah.
And in the sense that it's them making Dumbledore's army and everything. And I think it's one of the more character-driven ones rather than story in this of them all.
Yeah.
Because there's more I feel like development than anything else.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I like this better than Goblet and Prisoner, surprisingly. Even though it cut out, like I said, Dane was saying, a bunch of the stuff from the book, just to get, the main stuff in. But, I don't know, I just like this one better, because I was noticing, out of the three we were going to talk about, this one's my favorite of three.
Yeah, I could see that, too.
Yeah. I like how dark this one is. Because I like more horror movies, and this is about as close as Harry Potter's going to get to a horror movie.
Yeah, this one does kind of lean on a little bit of a darker path there.
So. Yeah.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it.
I found the opening scene of this movie to be a little bit strange. We see Harry in, this playground, but the playground's in, the middle of a field. So, all the houses are way off to one side, and then we just go way across a highway, over to this random field, and there's this big playground there. So that was strange to me, because I feel like we've been at this playground before, but it's closer to his house.
Yeah.
In the book. So that was a weird, directional choice for me, personally. And then we get to see Dudley again. Haven't seen him in a minute. And he looks terrible, honestly. That outfit is not good. He's some gangster wannabe kid. Beating up on some 10-year-olds. Although this one deserved it, apparently. So. Yeah, I just thought that scene was strangely shot, and then we get Harry and Dudley booking it back once all the clouds roll in, bringing doom and gloom. And I really liked the Dementor scene as a whole.
Yeah.
With the ice coming and crackling from one side of the tunnel, and then the big reveal of the Dementor right over Harry's shoulder is very startling, and it sets the tone for the film already on how it's going to go. So
yeah, and the Dementors look different in this movie.
they did. Not a whole lot, but they're almost more detailed in this movie. Like, in The Prisoner, they're kind of like in shadow. You're not really sure what they are. They're just these big and wearing cloaks. And then in this one, you really get like an up close and personal view of them. And they're kind of like skeletal, and it's just interesting. Still not how I pictured them, but you know, that's okay.
It's like, I think it's like, for me, it's like the mix of the two, like a Prisoner and of this one. Like, combine them together, that's what a Dementor would look like.
Yeah, I could agree with that. So Harry defends himself and Dudley against the two Dementors that have ended up in their neighborhood in the middle of Little Whinging, and he beats them, and the stag runs them off, and then little old lady comes around the corner, and Harry tries to hide his wand, and it turns out that Mrs. Fig knew about Harry being a wizard the whole time, and was placed there by Dumbledore. Surprise.
It's like, he's known Mrs. Fig since he was, like, young.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too. So she's a new character to the movies, but not in the books, which made it an even bigger reveal, really.
Yeah, because in the books, it reveals in this book that she's a squib.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Mrs. Fig used to babysit Harry before he went to, like, school and stuff, or while they took Dudley to go do all kinds of fun things that they didn't want to take him to. He stayed with her and her cats. So, that's why when this happened in the book for us, it was like, she's actually, like, aware of the wizarding world? Oh my god, she's a squib? Like, what? So it was bigger than it was in the movie, instead of just this random lady. Yeah. So then they go back, and Harry carries Dudley all the way back to the house, and, of course, Vernon and Petunia are immediately like, what did you do? How did you do this to him? And it's interesting, because in the book, Petunia spews off something randomly, because she's Lily's sister, and she knew about the wizarding world, and, or was that Prisoner? Am I wrong?
No, it's this one. He says that it was the Dementors, and she says, are those the ones that guard the, like,
yeah,
prison?
Okay. I thought it was this one, because Vernon's like, what the hell is a Dementoid or whatever? And she's like, they guard the wizard prison Azkaban, and then she's like, I don't even know where that came from, I'm sorry. Also, her dress in that scene is really ugly and strange and uncomfortable for me to look at. And then Harry gets a ministry letter saying, sorry, you did magic in full view of a muggle, so you are expelled. And it's like,
underage.
Yeah, because you're underage. So, you're toast, pretty much. And everyone's like, oh, shit. So, Vernon locks him up because he's like, oh, guess what? You can't do magic anymore. Sucks to be you. And then they take Dudley to the hospital for being saddened by the Dementors. I don't know. And then we get to meet the guard from the Order. They come to get Harry and break him out of his house. And it's comprised of Mad-Eye Moody, Kingsley, Nymphadora Tonks. Yeah, Kingsley Shacklebolt.
I don't know the other two's names.
I remember them from the book. I think it's Daedalus Diggle and... Who's the other one, Jess? Help me out.
I'm thinking.
What is her name? I don't know. There was a lady. I want to say it starts with an A, but I don't know if that's right. Anyway, they take Harry by broomstick back to Grimmauld Place.
Yeah.
Which I wrote down, they didn't follow the Fidelius rules in the movie, did they?
Probably not.
Oh, like, because in the book they fly up into the clouds, and this one they're like flying next to boats and all this shit.
Well, yeah, there's that. They're flying all over the place, and then
They did not do that with Harry in the movie.
Right. Because I thought in the book, Moody hands him a piece of paper that has the address on it.
Yeah.
That way he can see it.
Yes.
And we did not do that in the movie. So I feel like
fly in formation and stay low so nobody sees you.
Well, I'm saying when they get there.
When they get there?
Yeah. So when the building comes out
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
expands,
okay.
yeah. So the whole thing is it's supposed to be under the Fidelius charm, so you can't see it unless you know about it, and only the person who is like the secret keeper person can tell you about it. So in the book, he was handed a note from Dumbledore that says the address, so it technically works, and he can see it and he can get in. Huh. Then we get to go inside and see Sirius and the gang and everybody, and Molly's like, okay, you have to go upstairs first though, because it's a meeting and it's secret, but I'm happy to see you, but you have to go away. Then Harry gets to go upstairs, and we see a glimpse of Creature for the first time, the house elf working there, and he goes in and opens a door and almost gets bowled over by Hermione. And
Hermione's tackling hug.
Yeah, tackle hug. So we see Hermione and Ron and find out that they've been there a long time, and Harry's been in the dark the whole time, which is some shit. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Not okay with that. And it's a bummer that Dumbledore felt that was necessary, you know? Like, Harry is already so isolated as it is, and you just made it so much worse. Like, not cool. So then Harry gets to find out about the Order of the Phoenix and everything, and feeling all betrayed by his friends. And then we see Fred and George, who have now passed their apparition test, and they're old enough, so they just decide to pop into every room that they can.
Yeah.
Regardless of the people in said room when they get there.
Yeah.
We see the extendable ears.
Yes. So we start to see some of Fred and George's inventions, which they are so underappreciated for their smarts, because they're just the troublemakers, but they are so damn clever and so smart. Like, they could have been Ravenclaws if they weren't so crazy. But, alas, here we are. Yeah, we get the extendable ear going, which I like how they ended up doing that in the movie. They made it an actual ear, which I found amusing.
Yeah.
Because I was curious as to how they were going to design that. And I thought it was good. And fucking Crookshanks just decides to eat it.
Crookshanks ruins all the fun.
Ruins everything.
It's a cat.
It's a cat. I gotta play with it and eat it.
I was like, that's just how a cat is. I mean, come on.
And then we get to... They go downstairs because they can go into the kitchen, and Fred and George pop up right next to Molly, and she gets pissed and starts hitting them and stuff, and tells them they don't need to whip their wands out for everything.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yes. But it's Fred and George, so they shall.
Mm-hmm.
And we get our Harry and Sirius reunion, which is awesome, because he hasn't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
So that is great. And then he ends up saying too much at dinner about vaguely what they were talking about in their meeting. Which,
yeah, and Kingsley shows Harry a newspaper, the Daily Prophet, saying how Harry's being made out to be a liar and all about Voldemort coming back and all that.
It's like, great, perfect. And it just kind of goes to show once Sirius gets through his little storytelling to Harry, he's already blurring the lines between Harry and James and starting to kind of think of them as the same person. So then he gets to the end of that, and Molly says, absolutely not, you might as well induct him into the order, and he's like, I want to, I'm ready to fight. Like, no.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. Let's see.
It was a bad dream.
Oh, he has another vision.
Yeah.
I don't have that in my notes. I was trying to be big in my notes, but...
It's like that. Then there's Arthur's taking Harry to his ministry hearing.
Yeah.
Right, so he has the hearing. He has to go for his illegal use of underage magic crap. And I just have to say, Arthur in the Muggle world is everything. Like, he's just so fascinated by every tiny little thing, and it's just perfect. Like, he is us if we were to go to the Wizarding world. Like, it's the exact same situation, and it's adorable, really.
I love it.
He's like, I've never gone in the Muggle way. And going on the... What did he call it in the books? It wasn't the tube. He called it something else, like, similar to that. I don't remember, but he had a different funny name for the subway. And Harry was like, you mean this? And then we get to see the Ministry of Magic for the first time, which I thought was an awesome reveal, and just the way that they designed it, I thought made a lot of sense. Like, it definitely wasn't how I pictured it, but it made a whole lot of sense in the movie.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
I was happy that we still had the statues up by the entrance and everything. The golden fountain. And all the Floo portal fireplace deals. And yeah, I just thought it worked out really well. And you can see, like, even though they're underground, like, the offices go up, and we got to see the interdepartmental memos, the little paper airplanes flying around all over the place. And then we get, like, a kind of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory type elevator lift situation. They just kind of go in every direction, and it's like, ready? Hold on, don't die. An Omnivator.
The hearing has been moved.
Yes, yeah. Arthur finds out from Shacklebolt that the hearing had been moved to about 5 minutes from then. Or 10 minutes ago, or something. Anyway, it was starting, like, right now. Which I think was just the Ministry's way of trying to make sure he missed it. So.
Yeah.
Because they're shitheads. So they go down, all the way down to the Department of Mysteries level, and that's where the courtrooms are. And Harry and Arthur are walking down to their room, and you see fucking Lucius Malfoy with his fingers in everything, as always. Trying to be down there doing God knows what, and they think he was trying to get into the hearing.
Probably.
And put in his 2 cents about that, which is dumb. So then we go in, and we get to sit down and listen to Fudge be an idiot some more, which is always fun.
Yeah, it's like a full trial.
Full trial for underage magic. Like, why though?
Let's just blow everything out of proportion.
Yeah, and Dumbledore shows up.
And is like, actually, I'm here to defend this small child who has no idea what's happening, really.
Yeah.
Albus comes in to help Harry, and we get our first meeting of Dolores Umbridge.
Oh, fuck that bitch.
Oh, God, that's gonna be me most of this podcast. It's just... I hate her so much.
It's like you hate her more than you hate Voldemort.
You really do. She's probably one of the most hated literary characters, honestly, because she's just a terrible human being.
Even just hated characters, period.
Yeah, just in general. I wish she looked more toady. Like, I love Enola Staunton, and she did great, but she didn't quite fit the description that we had originally been given. But it's okay. Yeah, we get her first little interruption. Like, stop! No! Everybody hates you, stop talking. So we go through, and Dumbledore actually pulls a witness for Harry, which Fudge was not expecting. And that's when Miss Arabella Fig comes in to say that she did see the Dementors, which she did not describe very well, but she described the feeling, which saved their butts.
Yeah.
She's like, big and wearing cloaks. And then feeling like she'd never be happy again. And all the sadness that comes with a Dementor. And then Albus sassily points out that again, they're having a full trial for a case of underage magic. Like, this is ridiculous. Why do you have the entire Wizengamot down here for this? Just because it's Harry Potter and they're trying to make a point about him sounding crazy and X, Y, and Z, whatever else.
Well, and he's like, the Dementors don't go where they're not supposed to go, so they were there for a reason. They were sent there by someone.
Right, because he's like, there's no way that Dementors could have been there outside of Ministry control, and Albus is like, oh, I don't think they were there by themselves. I think someone sent them there, and it's like, ooh, sass.
Yeah.
Are you accusing the Ministry?
Yeah, because you're dumb. I think you don't know what's happening in front of your own damn nose.
I love sassy Dumbledore.
Yes. So, with Mrs. Fig's testimony, that one, and Harry trying to defend himself, he ends up being cleared of all charges, and Dumbledore just bails without even looking at Harry once. Because that's the first time that he's seen him since last year.
Yeah.
So,
Dumbledore's got some shit to take care of.
yeah, Dumbledore needs to go Dumbledore somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Go mess up somebody else's life. Then we jump ahead, and we're already going back to Hogwarts. So we missed the whole, after trial portion. We're already going back to Hogwarts, and Sirius decides that it would be fun to go in his animagus form as a dog.
And say goodbye.
And say bye to Harry. And Moody thinks it's pretty stupid of him to do that.
Well, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. They take a full guard with them to King's Cross. But Sirius goes and he gives Harry a picture of the original Order of the Phoenix, which includes his parents as well as Neville's parents. And a bunch of other familiar faces, too. Which is neat. And then we're back on the train. Yay, Hogwarts.
And the carriages... Well, right before he gets on the train, Harry sees Voldemort standing in the...
Oh, that's pretty.
Standing in King's Cross.
Yeah. And then they're going on the carriages, which is how everyone except for first years gets to the castle. But this is the first time we get to see it, because this is the actually first time that Harry uses
has ever
them.
actually done that.
Because normally he's getting there some other twisted way.
Yeah, he's either already there, or went by car, or went by boat, or went by, anything except a damn carriage.
Yeah.
And so we get to the carriages, and Harry can actually see what is pulling the carriages for the first time. They always assume that they moved by themselves. They do not. They are pulled by Thestrals.
Yeah.
And the only reason that Harry can see them is because he has seen somebody die.
Yeah.
Then we get to meet Miss Luna Lovegood for the first time. Our little Ravenclaw gem.
She says, don't worry, you're not crazy. I can see them too.
I can see them too. You're just as sane as I am. That is not reassuring. Thank you, though. And then Hermione slips on her name and calls her Loony instead of Luna. Oh, come on, girl. You gotta be a little bit quicker than that. So then they ride up to the castle. I'd just like to say I have always wanted to attend a Hogwarts feast. That food looks amazing, and there's so much to choose from, and I just think it would be a generally
so much food.
Wonderful affair. You'd be
I'd be so fat.
So fat. Well, no, because staircases, so we would not be fat.
You sure about that?
Because there's no elevators in Hogwarts.
And you can't apparate, so then, stairs.
So, yeah, you just get to walk your happy ass everywhere. Wonder if you'd get yelled at for riding your broom. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get introduced to the new teachers for the Hogwarts school year. Professor Grubbly Plank has come back to sub for Hagrid until he returns from a trip that Dumbledore has sent him on.
Yeah.
And we find out that fucking Umbridge is a teacher. She's going to be a teacher. She's going to be the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, number 5, in 5 years. Which is the only nice point about this whole thing, because we know for a fact she won't last longer than a year. So, at least there's that small token of happiness for us. And so Dumbledore tries to continue his speech, and Umbridge interrupts him. And the entire hall is just like,
What?
are you fucking kidding? Like,
Who do you think you are?
Snape and McGonagall throwing shade at her is just the best. They're just like, you've got to be joking right now. Like, you stepped in what? So she interrupts him and decides to make this whole speech that pretty much sums up to the Ministry interfering at Hogwarts. And progress for progress's sake should be prohibited, and X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to teach you shit because we think you're doing bad things at Hogwarts.
Yeah. And they're in the common room, and Seamus is mad at Harry
Fuck Seamus.
because his mom almost didn't let him come because Harry has been telling stories and Dumbledore's been telling stories that she thinks is not safe. And she doesn't believe them. So, you know, everybody's mad at Harry again this year.
You know, because why not? They think he's crazy. And so then Ron defends him, and he's like, has anybody else got a problem with Harry? So better Ron friendship this year, folks. We have improved over the last year.
Yeah.
So that just sucks, because it's clear that the common room is kind of split between Harry supporters and non-Harry supporters. And I think the only difference is that Harry just doesn't really give two shits at this point. He's just like,
He's
fine,
so
fuck you guys.
angsty. Like,
So
I love
much
it.
Harry angst. So much. I'm just like, God, stop. He has no chill this whole movie. He snaps at Ron in the common room directly after that, and it's just like, hey, he is being your friend right now. You need to relax.
Because
Like,
they go back to their dorm, right?
and he snaps at him for something in there. Just like, okay, I know Ron was a dick to you last year, but we learned from that, and you should not be returning the favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
We get another Voldemort dream.
Which is awesome.
I
Not
think
really.
it's about the corridor and the door
Yeah,
that
he
Harry
keeps
keeps
seeing,
having.
seeing the same door over and over.
Yeah. And then Defense Against the Dark Arts class.
Yay, Umbridge's first quote-unquote lesson that she decides to quote-unquote teach. Just throw the whole thing away. Throw away the whole lesson. Because it's not even... It isn't even. She's like, here, read this, and then don't do anything else.
And Harry's like, but we're gonna die if we do this.
She's like, who could possibly attack you at a school? And he's like, I don't know, Voldemort? And that didn't really go over very well. So,
Yeah. So he gets detention.
yeah, he gets detention. I thought it was interesting that the Ministry approach in the Harry Potter movies is very similar to the government approach on education, because she's really just like focusing on the owls and the test scores,
Yeah.
and that's about it. There's no practicality, no...
Theory.
Yeah, it's literally just the theory of doing things, and it's just bullshit, but...
Yep.
Don't get me started.
Like, we won't go into that, because that'll be a whole nother hour's worth. Right? So then, Harry keeps mouthing off and mouthing off and mouthing off, and saying how, oh, Cedric Diggory just dropped of his own accord, and Lord Voldemort, and blah blah, and so she's like, fine, enough, detention, done with you, like, no mas.
Yeah.
So we get to go have detention with her.
Her office is just like, oh, so cringeworthy.
So
So
cringy.
Pink,
Pink.
and like these plates on the walls.
The cat
like,
plates, I just...
Crazy cat.
She is a crazy
love
cat lady.
Cats.
I love cats.
That's a lot.
Literally same, like, everybody here appreciates a good cat, but Lord Almighty. So many cringy plates. She even has pink sugar to put in her tea. Like, just excessive amounts of things. So then we get to experience what she likes to use for writing lines. She tells Harry to write, I must not tell lies, as long as it takes for the message to sink in. And we find out she's got this damn cursed quill that when Harry writes with it, he gets to write in his own blood because it's carving into his hand. Like,
Yeah.
this is not okay, folks. This is not okay on any sort of level.
I mean, I see why they did it on his left hand for the movie, so you can see it, but in the book, it's on his right hand.
It's the same hand.
Yeah. Then we see some of the Weasley Wheezes.
Yeah, the
They're
skiving snack boxes in their early days.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, we really don't find out that freaking Ron and Hermione are prefects.
No.
Yeah.
Because that happens in year 5, and the whole point was that Hermione's like, aren't you going to do something about your brothers? And Ron's like, I don't want to. And so then she goes and yells at them and tells them that they can't be doing that, and they tell her to suck it because they all volunteered. So, just like, well, shit. But I like this little, like, mini montage of seeing the different kinds of skiving snack boxes that they came up with.
Yeah.
And
The
again,
business before the business.
yes. And just showing off more of how smart Fred and George really are. Because they're literally creating these new candies. They're creating new toys and new items and all this cool shit.
Yeah.
But they're just skimming by in school.
And Hermione notices Harry's hand and is trying to get him to go say something, but he's just like, no, there's no point.
Yeah. That was also after she volunteered to write the opening whatever for Ron's paper again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, Hermione, why are we still doing their work for them? Why? And Ron's like, you're the best, I love you. And she's like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's our first hint of Ron and Hermione-ness. But yeah, she tries to tell Harry to go handle it. He's like, why? There's no point.
But he sends a letter to Sirius.
Yeah, because she says you should at least tell him, because he would want to know.
Yeah.
So he sends a letter, and then we get to go down into the forest. Harry's just kind of wandering around. I don't even know why he's down there. But he runs into Luna,
Yeah.
and Luna has no shoes on because all of her fucking roommates and housemates take her shit and hide it from her. Because she's weird. And that's not okay.
That just makes me sad.
It is sad. She's literally walking around with no shoes on her feet. Like, and she doesn't even care either. She's not even mad. She's just like, oh yeah, they just take them. Like, okay, well, I mean, I guess if you're not cold.
Yeah.
So.
And she explains why they can both see the Thestrals.
Yeah, she tells Harry about her mom.
And she also tells him that her and her dad believe him about Voldemort.
Which is good. She knows. Luna knows many things. That's why she's a Ravenclaw.
Yeah, she's the eccentric side of the Ravenclaw.
She is. She is indeed. We go back to the Great Hall for a minute, and Ron is literally just shoving food in his face. And I don't understand. This is one of those parts I don't understand what Hermione sees there. Because, like, look at the kid. Like, her and Ginny are watching him just like, oh God, what? Why? She's like, do you ever stop eating? Like,
No.
and he's like, what? And then we get to see Queen McGonagall sassing the devil after that.
Yeah.
And they're arguing on the stairs. Umbridge is like, big changes are coming to Hogwarts, and then that's when we get to see the first of the educational decrees that she decides to start adding a fuck ton of.
Yeah, because she has become the High Inquisitor. So she's like interviewing teachers and stopping students from doing whatever they're doing and making up all kinds of rules.
Her trying to interview Snape is amusing. Like, oh, so you haven't been successful? He's like, obviously. Like, you're a fucking idiot. Seriously.
Like, no shit, Sherlock.
Like, no, actually, you're not the Defense Against Dark Arts teacher. I am. Because I actually won at some point. No, you dumbass. Also, her measuring Flitwick while he's teaching choir is so offensive. Like, what the heck? She pulls out a tape measure. It's like, how tall is this little dwarf of a man? Like, rude as hell.
I'm doesn't matter.
No, it literally doesn't.
She's probably more interested in trying to find out somebody's height that's actually shorter than her.
That too.
She tries to kick Trelawney out because she didn't appreciate Trelawney's predictions.
Honestly, like, I don't appreciate Trelawney as much as the next person, but her asking her for a prediction on the spot is just ridiculous.
It's like, that's not how it works.
Like, no.
At all.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically she wasn't wrong, because she said she was in danger, and then we see things unfold later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, tries to kick her out, and Dumbledore's like, nah, take your stuff back in. Take her back up, and she's like, you can't do that. And he's like, well, you can dismiss them, but not from the Hogwarts grounds. Only I can do that.
Yeah. And Harry still tries to go talk to him, but Dumbledore just kind of walks off and doesn't even care.
Disappears. He's like, see you later, Harry. Not.
And then they're listening to the radio thing, and it's more of Fudge telling lies. And then there we get Sirius in the fire again.
Yep, we talked to Sirius for a minute, and get to hear about the notorious mass murderer Sirius Black.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of the bad things. I'm like, you're just enough of that. Yeah, Sirius tells them that they need to figure something out because Umbridge has her fingers in everything, and that means Fudge has his fingers in everything. And Hermione's like, I have an idea. Teenage Wizards Unite.
Yeah, because they need a teacher, someone that'll actually help them figure out how to defend themselves, seeing as how the teachers aren't going to teach them.
Right.
And they decide that it's going to be Harry, so he's there talking to a bunch of people at the meeting.
At the Hogshead.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're like all questioning, saying why they need to believe him, and people keep listing all his triumphs. I say, well, it all sounds nice when you say it like that.
He's like, but I didn't do any of those things on my own. I had help a lot. And it's like, you had some of it, but not all of it. And so they get to have everybody sign up for it. And I'm going to point out the lack of Marietta Edgecombe right now, because she will be important later, and I don't like that her character is missing.
Yeah.
And then
They're like walking on their way back.
Yeah.
And Hermione's super excited about breaking the rules, which is kind of funny.
which is adorable and hilarious.
And then she also says something about how Cho couldn't keep her eyes off of Harry, but then you see that little jealousness in Ginny, and
Just
it's
a
like,
smidgen. It's for a second. It catches her face, and she's just like, what do you mean Cho can't keep her eyes off of Harry? Like, Harry's mine. He's been mine since I was 11. Like,
10.
10 even.
When she was 10.
Yeah. But yeah, Rebel Hermione is adorable.
Yeah. And they're trying to find, they say that they needed to find somewhere to practice. So that was their next task, and Neville ends up finding the Room of Requirement.
Yeah, he stumbles across it one day after Crabbe and Goyle were beating up on him a little bit, and he wanders by it, and then they discover it, just like a group of 6 or 7 of them. He shows it to them.
Yeah.
And we get the whole montage of them learning spells from Harry, starting with Expelliarmus and working our way up from there, because Harry doesn't know any other spells besides Expelliarmus, so I would hope he would teach that one. One of 5 spells in his arsenal.
Well, I think it's cool how they did this, because they not only did him teaching the lessons, but they also did, like, the rules and stuff, and Filch trying to catch them, and then
yeah, it was like a whole time, like, lapse.
Montage of learning and failures.
Yes. I loved Ron taking it easy on Hermione.
Yeah.
Like, shut your mouth, Ronald Weasley. You know that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And she puts him on his ass, and I'm just like, yep.
And then this entire time, Neville hasn't been able to get it. But then he finally does on their last lesson before Christmas.
Yes. That was also right after we watched Ginny reduce this robot to rubble on the floor, and her brothers are like, oh my god. Like, no freaking way. Like, Ginny Weasley is the strongest Weasley. But yeah, Neville finally masters disarming, and everybody's super excited.
Yeah.
Yay, Neville. Yay, Neville.
And then Harry's like, y'all have a good holiday. Have a
We'll
good
see
break.
you when you get back.
He's like staring at Cho the whole time, and Ginny sees it, and she's just like so jealous.
He's so upset. And Ron and Hermione bow out gracefully so that he can talk to Cho. Fred and George try to intercept Harry with some more skiving snack box ideas. He's like, yeah, that's great. I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And then we get our whole awkward Cho scene. I don't like Cho
so
Chang.
awkward.
I don't like her as a character. I also think she was a better character in the books than she was in the movies.
Agreed.
Because the movies don't even portray why Harry likes her. Like,
No.
he first got interested in her because she's the seeker for the Ravenclaw Quidditch team.
Yeah.
And you have no idea about that. You just think she's a random pretty girl that he decided to like.
Pretty Asian girl.
Pretty Asian girl. But yeah, awkward Cho kiss is no.
Like, they're not even touching each other except, like, their lips.
Literally so weird. Like, why is no part of your body touching except for your face? Like, that is so strange. And Harry goes back and they're like, so, how was it? And he's like, wet. It's just like,
And Hermione's like, well, she's feeling this and this and this and this and this, and then Ron and Harry are like, what?
Like, how you couldn't feel all that, she'd explode. And it's like, just because you have the emotional range of a teaspoon. And then they laugh about it.
Yep.
It's funny.
And then we get
Another dream.
Harry's dream where he's Nagini attacking Mr. Weasley.
Yeah, Mr. Weasley's help guarding the weapon at the Ministry, and Harry attacks him in his dream as Nagini, and then they wake up and find out that Arthur actually got attacked at the Ministry.
Yep.
And Harry actually technically saved him by telling Dumbledore when he did, so that they could discover him and get him to St. Mungo's, which is the wizarding hospital.
And we see Harry kind of flip out on Dumbledore.
Well, he's, like, purposely not even looking at him.
Right.
He has his back to him the entire time.
Yeah.
Until he yells at him.
Right, and he's just like, look at me! And you can just tell that Harry's just so emotionally unstable at this point because he keeps getting these visions, and Dumbledore won't talk to him or help him, and half the world thinks he's nuts and a liar, and Voldemort's back, and it's just this whole thing, and he's just very angsty, and it's very uncomfortable.
I always thought of that scene like it's like halfway, like he's Slytherin side, but like halfway kind of like Voldemort taking over for a sec.
Yeah.
And it's like, look at me!
Because he's like, yeah,
from
it's like a connection.
Yeah.
And that's when Dumbledore decides to have Snape help Harry to block out Voldemort.
So that Voldemort can't make more bad things happen through Harry.
Yeah.
So they start trying to
Occlumency.
Yeah, however you say it.
Occlumency.
Yeah.
Occlumency.
I got one.
I would have said it wrong, so good job.
And then it's Christmas.
Christmas!
We like Christmas. I really I enjoyed seeing the Black family tree.
Yeah.
In this scene, I thought it was really cool how they did it in the movie as like the wallpaper, and it's like ever expanding, and it just has like there's so many layers to it that you have to have like an entire room to store this because they're all related.
The burnt faces.
Yeah, everybody burned off, and then like the slightly moving portraits of the still alive family members. Although this is kind of a bummer because in this scene in the book, you find out that Sirius is related to the Malfoys, and because his mom? No, because Bellatrix is his cousin, and that's Narcissa's sister.
Yep. So he's related to him by marriage.
And then Andromeda is the third. So
That's Tonks' mom.
Yep.
yeah, we love Tonks. Christmas really isn't a big deal in this one.
No. It's
It's
just
like
more
it's
of a...
Like, there's way more of it in the book.
Yeah,
Because they actually go to St. Mungo's.
and visit, and then Arthur comes back, and yeah.
Because they see Arthur, they see Lockhart also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Lockhart is there because he went all crazy from his own Obliviate spell to
Yes,
himself.
we also see Neville's parents, too,
Oh, that would
in
have
the
been cool.
book.
Yeah. It's Because they're in the same ward as Lockhart.
Yeah,
So,
because they all went.
they all have brain injuries. So, because they see Neville there, and he gets all defensive, like they're going to make fun of him or something, and they're like, no, dude, like, I get it. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable. Yep, so that's Christmas that year.
And they go back to Hogwarts, and,
Hagrid's back!
yeah. But they run down there, but Umbridge is already there questioning him.
And he's like, first of all, who the hell are you? Second of all, you don't need to know my business. Like, I fell down. And got all these bruises by falling down. I also went out for my health.
This cut on my face. I fell down.
Yes.
But then, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione go in there, he tells them where he actually was, and he says that he was with the Giants, but there was also Death Eaters there too, trying to recruit
Them for the bad side.
Yep.
And then...
Look, and, can I say to the book, in the book, it's not just Hagrid that goes.
Right.
Because Madame Maxime goes with him.
To also help.
Yes.
Yes. So he's back from all that business, and we get to see like storm clouds brewing outside and stuff, and Hagrid's like, it's just changing out there, and so we zoom across and we get to see the Azkaban outbreak.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of nutbag crazy, honestly, and we get to see Bellatrix Lestrange for the first time in all her crazy glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, her.
And there's 10 prisoners that escaped, and they're all, the Fudge is saying that it's Sirius helped them.
Sirius helped him break out because he broke out the first time.
Because Sirius is a scapegoat.
Yes, absolutely, because he doesn't want to admit that he lost control of the Dementors and that a bunch of Death Eaters pretty much came and blasted a hole in Azkaban and let everybody out, so...
Yeah.
And then we see Neville reacting to the news, because he sees it in the Daily Prophet, and he gets super determined and angry that his parents' torturer has escaped.
Yeah.
So he's like, come at me, bro. And then that kind of spurs Harry to move forward in his lessons, and they start Patronuses.
Yeah.
In Dumbledore's army. And I liked this one, because you got to see all the different ones, which was really fun, I think.
Yeah.
Neville's all trying to do it. He's like, I'm trying, I got something. And he's like, you just keep going, Neville, you're doing good. You'll get it.
We hear someone trying to break into the room of requirement.
Which immediately kills all the Patronuses in the room.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what the hell is that?
And it's Umbridge and the Inquisitorial Squad get in there.
And they found out because of Cho. Which brings me back to the Marietta Edgecombe thing, because it was supposed to be her. Marietta was Cho's friend, or roommate, or both. And she dragged her along to the meeting originally. And I was also disappointed that there were not boils across her face either, because Hermione cursed the sign-up sheet so that if anybody told, they would have the word sneak written across their face, so that they would know who gave them up. And I was like, okay, you changed the character, you could have at least given her the marks on her face, but fine, whatever.
But so they have them in there with Fudge in Dumbledore's
Dumbledore's
office, and Dumbledore is like taking the blame for it, even though he had nothing to do with it, really.
He had no idea. Well, he probably had some idea, but he's taking the blame, and fucking Percy's there being the minister's bitch and manhandling Harry like he doesn't even know him and hasn't spent all this time with him with his family.
Yeah.
Like, whatever, Percy, go away.
And they're saying that they're going to take Dumbledore to Azkaban, but Dumbledore's like, y'all think I'm going? That's a no.
He's like, oh, what'd you say? I think I'd come quietly?
Yeah, and then he gets away with Fox.
Just bang! Out of there. Deuces.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was really cool in the movie. I was like, that was a neat way to portray that, yes.
Yeah.
On board.
And then, we see Filch taking down a bunch of pictures. He's, like, shaking all the people out. And I'm like,
the
oh
portraits.
my god. And
Yeah.
then, the mass detention.
Oh yeah, all the people with all the pointy, terrible quills.
Yeah, and Cho's out there, she's trying to talk to him and, like, apologize, but nobody even pays any attention to her.
Nah, fuck you. Forget that. And he's like, I kissed you, man. You ratted me out.
Yeah. And then, Hagrid has to take Harry, Ron, and Hermione into the woods because he knows he's about to get fired since Dumbledore's gone. Because he has something to show them. Because he needs help. And we meet Hagrid's brother.
Grop! His half-brother. He found him when he went to the Giants. Go recruit the Giants.
Yeah. And we also learn that the Centaurs are super upset because Fudge keeps limiting their territory.
Yeah, so they're running around like a bunch of crazies, and like they're like that on a good day, and the Ministry keeps interfering and limiting, and so they're getting pissed.
Yeah.
We find out that Grop has taken a liking to Hermione, and calls her Hermie, which you don't see in the movie, but it's okay. And he gives her a bike bell as a gift after she scolds him for picking her up.
Put me down now.
Which is wonderful. Then we get to go see Harry taking some more lessons from Snape, and it's just not really going very well. His mind is not holding up, and he just kind of wants a break, and Snape's like, well, bummer, the Dark Lord won't give you a break, and so he goes to come at Harry one more time and enter his mind again, and Harry throws up a Protego, a shield, and it actually ends up inserting him into Snape's memories, and we get to see Harry's dad being a dick to him, and it's kind of a bummer because Harry's view of his dad kind of gets shattered in that moment.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. Like, you find out that Snape's hatred is not so unfounded, and it's like, no, you guys are kind of assholes. Like, him and Sirius, and, you know, shame on Lupin for letting them do all that crap all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I realize Snape is not a desirable or generally wonderful human being, but
I also liked all the actors they got for that little bit.
For that little scene, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're people.
And while that's happening, Fred and George have come up with a plan to get rid of Umbridge.
And they think they are done with schooling. They've learned as much as they can up to this point, so...
Yeah.
Which, this is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. And they interrupt the OWL examination that's happening with a bunch of fireworks.
Yep.
The Weasley's Wildfire Whiz-Bangs. I was hoping for a couple more, like, they did a good job of showing a bunch of different types of fireworks in this. Not as many as are described in the book, but they gave a good variety, which I liked.
Yeah.
I liked the teeny tiny ones that were, like, just in front of their face, like they had their own little personal fireworks show. And then the one that makes Malfoy's face on the wall after it tries to smack him right up in his face.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out that if you haven't noticed it up to this point, as the movie goes along and Umbridge gains more power and she becomes more of a bitch, the shades of pink that she wears get darker and darker and darker pink as we go along. So I thought that was a cool little Easter egg type deal. So she's in her darkest magenta pink at this point in the movie.
Yeah.
I like the dragon that snaps her up.
Yes, and it just like eats her and she's all fried and takes down all of the whatevers outside the hall. Decrees. And shatters them all onto the floor. Which was awesome.
Yeah. And Harry has a vision that Sirius is being attacked.
Yeah, he was captured and Voldemort was torturing him at the Ministry.
Yeah.
And so he panics and he's like, we have to go save him. And Hermione's like, hold on, time out. What if this is not real? And he's like, I saw him. It's real. And so they're like, okay, well, how about we just check really quick just to make sure? And so they go up to Umbridge's office to use her fireplace because it's the only flue that's not being watched in the whole castle. But she finds out they're in there anyway.
Yeah.
And prevents them from checking. Which was a smidgen different than it was in the book, because we're also missing another Fred and George situation too. But that's fine. So she brings them and the other 3 or 4 that were trying to help and stand watch for this operation, and the Inquisitorial Squad has everybody held up in her office. And she keeps asking him where Dumbledore is and what he's planning, and Harry's like, nah, fuck you. And she's like, okay, well, I'll just call Snape up here then. And she wants more of the Veritaserum, and he doesn't have any more because she used it all on questioning the students, the last of which was on Cho Chang, to find out where they were practicing.
Yeah, and then they realized they messed up by being rude to her because she had no choice but to tell, because that's what that stuff does.
Yeah. So it wasn't totally her fault.
Yeah.
And then, so Snape turns around to leave, and Harry's like, they've got Padfoot at the place where it's hidden, and she's like, the hell does that mean? And Snape's like, I don't know, and just leaves. And so they're all panicking because they thought that was their last chance to save him, and Umbridge is like, fine, if you're not going to tell me, then I bet a dark curse will loosen up your tongue. I'm like, she's going to crucio a child! This is not okay!
Yeah.
This is not okay. She is nuts crazy. Like, so Hermione caves to prevent Harry from being crucioed. And she's like, let's just tell her where it is, the weapon. We'll just take him to the weapon. And Harry's like, I don't know what you're saying, but sure, let's do that.
Hermione has a plan for once sticking on her feet.
Yes. And again, thank God for Hermione, because otherwise Harry would just be getting his ass tortured, and they'd all be watching. So,
Yeah.
God. So they take Umbridge into the forest, and Hermione's just kind of wandering around, hoping for the best, and she's like, this is a trick, I hate children, and, they run into the centaurs, and she's like, you have no business here, half-breed, and being super-duper rude, and this is a ministry operation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're just making this worse for yourself, honestly, but
Yeah.
feel free to keep talking. And so then one of them shoots an arrow towards her, and she's like, ah! And shoots ropes out at one of the centaurs and tries to tie him up and everything, and chaos, and then Grop shows up and just picks her up and is like, why is this tiny thing making so much noise? Like, and so she's freaking out, and he picks her up, and he gets shot in the arm with an arrow, and all the centaurs are speeding around underneath her, and so he's like, ugh, and just like drops her and lets them have her, and she gets carried away, and we don't have to see her anymore, which is awesome. And then, so Harry and Hermione recover, and she's like, okay, we have to go get Sirius.
Yep.
And so they run back, and they run into the others who have escaped from the Inquisitorial Squad, and they're like, okay, so where are we going? We're going to the Ministry? And Harry's like, no, I have to do this by myself. And Ron's like, but do you really? Do you have to do it by yourself? So they all go, and they're like, how are we going to get there? And Luna's like, by Thestral, of course.
Yep, so
We're flying.
They fly on them.
Which is underappreciated in the movie because we have to remember that half of these people cannot see what they're riding on.
Yeah.
They are literally just flying through the air on what looks like nothing. So
Yeah.
I feel like they could have like emphasized that a little bit more in that scene. Because in the book they're like talking about how Ron's just like staring at the ground and just like, this is insane! Like, I can't even see anything! And Luna's just like, wee, flying through the air. Like, nothing ever phases this girl. It doesn't matter how strange or how scary, she just doesn't even falter. It's wonderful.
So they get to the Ministry, and they get down to the area where they thought Sirius was, and it's actually the Hall of Prophecies.
which was so cool. Like, portrayed very, very well, I think.
And the one that Voldemort was after is Harry's prophecy, which basically says they're going to have to kill each other.
Yeah. One cannot live while the other survives, and born as the 7th month dies,
and kids can just break into the ministry. You know?
Yeah, and there's nobody at the ministry because it was a trap.
It's so easy to get to the Hall of Prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about disappointing Department of Mysteries scene here.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
again, so we're going to reiterate like we did from The Maze in the past movie. This scene was supposed to contain like 9 different rooms and a whole chase scene because, so we find out that Harry picks up the prophecy, and the reason Voldemort needed him to go to the ministry and get it was because he could not do it himself, and only the person that the prophecy is about can pick up the prophecy.
Yeah, so Harry had to do it.
So Harry had to go get it, and then Malfoy Senior, Lucius, and Bellatrix are there, and they're like, hand it over, and he's like, nah, fuck you. And so they're running through the Hall of Prophecy and blowing up a bunch of stuff, and there's Death Eaters everywhere. But this was supposed to happen through a bunch of different rooms, including a room with a bunch of giant planets, and a room full of brains, and what else? There was a room that was like totally pitch dark.
Yeah.
The one with the time turners in it, we didn't get to see that, and the bell jar. It was supposed to be a whole thing.
It's like there's a room that's locked and no one can get into it.
No one can ever open it because the power behind it is too strong.
I mean, it was cool what they did with the Room of Prophecies because they were breaking. Like, they
kept breaking them and they were all opening.
That was really cool, but they could have done a lot more with it.
I'm glad we got to see a recap of Ginny demonstrating her strength because she just collapses the whole place pretty much.
Yeah.
Broke the room.
She broke the room. She broke all the prophecies. No more prophecies for anybody.
So they end up in the
arch room. Yeah. And so they fall into this big pit-like room, and there's an arch in the middle of the room up on a pedestal deal, and there's a veil, and Harry's like, can you guys hear what they're saying? Like, it's too quiet, they're whispering, I can't hear it, and they're like, there's nobody talking, and Luna's like, yes they are, I can hear them.
Yeah.
And so that was another situation of being able to hear the dead because you've interacted with them before.
Yeah.
And had a situation relative to that. And so then they hear the Death Eaters coming, and Harry's like, get behind me! And so they try to defend themselves, and all the Death Eaters come into the room and sweep through, and they each grab up one of them except for Harry. And so everybody's trapped and held hostage.
And Lucius is trying to get Harry to give him the prophecy.
So Harry hands it over, and then Lucius is like, haha! And then Sirius shows up, and he's like, haha! And so the Order of the Phoenix shows up just in time to take on their own Death Eater apiece, which I thought their entrance into the room was done really well. I thought it was really cool how they, like, quote-unquote, apparated in, and you get to see each of them show up in the light, and so then it's the light and the dark battling through the whole place. I thought it was just...
I like this battle scene because they're operating while fighting, and it's really cool.
I did like how Sirius just, like, punched Lucius in the face.
Oh, yes, just like, fuck wands, I'm just gonna hit this bitch right in his nose. Like, the best. And so, Sirius is trying to get Harry to go. He's like, let us handle it from here, like, we got it. And then, someone starts shooting curses at him with Lucius, and so Sirius and Harry battle Lucius and this other Death Eater, and Harry lands a particularly good spell, which, by the way, these are all nonverbal spells at this point. I would like to point that out.
Yeah.
Like, the kids had been using spells, like, verbally earlier in this scene when they were still in the Room of Prophecy, but then now everyone's just shooting light at each other, and we don't even know what it is. So,
yeah.
Hopefully this works.
Yeah, pretty much. And so Harry lands a nice one, and Sirius is like, nice one, James, and it's like, no, not the same person. I know this is a little confusing and they look a little similar, but it's not the same. And so then Sirius knocks Lucius on his ass, and he's like, ha! And then Bellatrix is like, yeah, kill you dead. And that was very sad, and I hated it.
Yeah.
It gets me every time.
It's just so sad, you know, she gets him right in his chest, and he just fades away into the veil and disappears. And it's really heartbreaking because the first person to get to Harry is Lupin. And Lupin just lost his best friend. He's now the only one left. We don't count Wormtail right now.
No.
And he's just trying to hold Harry together and hold himself together because he knows Harry needs it more than he does right now. And Harry's just like, nope, bye, I'm gonna go kill this bitch.
Yeah. And they get into the entryway of the ministry, and yeah, Bellatrix is being
Being a bitch.
being Bellatrix, and
Taking money.
she gets cornered by Harry, and Harry's like gonna curse her, but he can't work up the courage to do it, even though she just did that to Sirius.
He knocks her on her ass, and then that's it.
And
Should've
Voldemort
done it.
shows up and is about to kill Harry, but then Dumbledore shows up.
It's like, no, you can't.
Ha!
So Voldemort and Dumbledore are battling while Bellatrix escapes.
This was a really cool battle scene, too.
Yeah.
Because you get to really see the strength behind these two, which is awesome. And it's like every time Dumbledore throws something, Voldemort throws something back, Dumbledore throws something back, and it's just back and forth and back and forth. I was disappointed that we didn't get to interact with the statue like we did in the book, because Dumbledore enchants the big golden statues in the entryway to protect Harry and push him back and defend him from like any of the rebounding spells and everything, but that doesn't really happen, which is a bummer.
And right before Voldemort disappears, the Ministry people come in and see him.
Yeah, that was after he possessed Harry for a short time, and he's like, I don't really know what happened. He like turned into the sand and then moved across the sand and went to Harry. So I don't know if he was just like literally inside Harry possessing him or what it was. But he's making him think of all of these sad, terrible, scary times. And Dumbledore's like, you're better than this. And Harry sees all of his friends come into the entryway, and his feeling of love and protection and friendship overpowers Voldemort and pretty much just like removes him from his body and pushes him out because he's never known love and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's when the room is kind of frozen and Voldemort is about to end Harry, and then the flues all open up and all the Ministry workers come back in.
Yeah, and they see him, and then because they actually saw Voldemort, they're like, well, Dumbledore was right. Now we gotta stop.
I guess he's back. And it's like, really? Huh, haven't been trying to tell you that for a whole year. Fudge, you fucking moron.
And so they have to get rid of Umbridge and formally reinstate Dumbledore. And then they also Dumbledore tells Harry why he kind of distanced himself, because he knew about the connection between the two, and he was trying to make sure that Voldemort couldn't see what Dumbledore was planning through Harry.
And go ahead.
It's because in the book... Okay. This is why... So... In the book, Trelawney's the one who's told the prophecy to Dumbledore.
Yes.
And it says none of that in the movie.
No. Yeah, you never find out that it's Trelawney that was in charge of the prophecy.
Well, you kind of do, because when you hear the prophecy read, it's in her voice, and that we have heard it. But you have to know her voice. You have to have seen that other movie where she gives a prophecy like that before.
Yeah, you have to remember that.
And the only way you can remember that is if you've seen it a bunch of times and you remember.
And you know that.
And you know that that's her prophecy voice.
And
That's the only way you
yeah.
really get it.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that we changed Death Eater costumes within a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, these are completely different than the ones we saw at the World Cup and in the graveyard, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Like 100% different. But it's fine.
Yeah.
I like the new ones better anyway. I mean, I guess they could have updated their costumes in that year.
Maybe they realized it was too hard to operate with the pointy stuff.
Maybe, yeah. The pointy hood kind of gets in the way, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Dumbledore's like, I didn't want to cause you pain, and everybody's like, lol, yes you did, you don't even care about this boy. Like, if you didn't want to cause him pain, you would not make him the centerpiece for your plan, but it's okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much
That's it, and then Harry's wandering the halls afterwards, and he runs into Luna again, and she's posting all these posters trying to get her stuff back.
And we see her shoes!
And she finds her shoes, they're up on the banister, and she's like, things have a way of coming back to us in the end. And then that's it.
Yeah. So, once again, we have switched composers for the music, but this guy sticks around for
A minute.
all the rest of them, actually.
Yeah.
He does all the rest of them.
What is it?
His name is Nicholas Hooper.
Yes.
He's known for this one, and then the other four. So these last four. So,
Yeah. The second half.
Yeah. The second half of the movies is what he worked on, and he did all of that. But once again, I'm pretty sure he worked with John Williams to keep that.
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the score for this movie, especially
The silence.
the silence and I like the Fred and George theme.
Yeah.
Like the quick kind of Irish jig that happens during the fireworks scene and everything. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So he's known for, of course, the last four Harry Potter movies, and then Prime Suspect 7, the final act. He got started composing in 1985 on The Land of the Tiger, which is a documentary. He has not been nominated for any Oscars, but he has won 4 awards. So, there's that.
Getting there.
We kind of were saying the comparisons, because it's just for the book. Is there any major ones that we didn't do?
We didn't really get into the whole, fact that Grimmauld Place belongs to Sirius Black. It belongs to the Black family. He says it, but it's just, in passing. It's not really, an important feature.
Yeah,
Whereas
well, you kind of figure that with the whole wallpaper being the Black family.
Right,
so.
but that's, the only point. And, it was so much bigger in the book because, it's going back to his house, and we never got to see his mom's portrait being all crazy and loud and screaming, and, with Creature, and just Sirius feeling trapped because he had to be stuck in his childhood home again, and he wasn't allowed to leave because he was wanted. So, I think that's something we kind of missed out on. And then, I was telling Eric about this when we were watching it, was, we completely skip over the fact, you see the decree where Umbridge has canceled all group activities for Hogwarts, but that included Quidditch. And so we didn't get to see any Quidditch for this year, and we missed a whole scene where they finally, the Gryffindor team finally gets reinstated. She made them jump through a bunch of hoops where she just let Slytherin start all over again. And there's a big fight scene between Fred and George and Harry against Malfoy and a couple of the Slytherin players, and then Fred and George and Harry get banned for life, quote-unquote, from playing Quidditch, which is some bullshit. And then that's how we see Ginny come onto the team, and she plays Seeker, and then they have 2 more people come on for beaters, and Angelina's just like, this is shit without you guys, and yeah, Quidditch doesn't exist in this movie, so.
Yeah, and Ron's the keeper.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a whole chant about it, too. Weasley is our king.
No, that's next movie, I thought. Yeah. Was that Order of the Phoenix, or was that Half-Blood Prince?
The Order.
Is it Order?
Yep.
Huh. Okay. Well, anyway,
Prince
there was no
Draco's
Quidditch.
the one who made it up.
Right. Yeah, that's some shit that we didn't get to do in this movie. Continue.
So, trivia? Do you have anything interesting that we didn't say?
Oh, I have a few. The apartment and the park in front of the Black household is actually the same park and apartment condo thingies as Christopher Robin, the movie.
Oh, cool.
I know that was like the first thing I noticed
He
about it.
noticed it this time around, yeah.
Because now that movie's out.
Yeah.
Also that there's a Chudley Cannons pennant in Ron's dresser.
Yeah, we don't really talk about his love for the Chudley Cannons.
For the Chudley Cannons, boom, 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 we are not pirates. Thank you, Carlin Brothers.
Yes.
But yeah, those a few little things, because I was like, wait, that's that thing from that thing, and put it all together, and then that's where I learned it was Ron's favorite.
Yeah, because he heard the chant on a different YouTube channel that he watches, and I was like, well, yeah, that's Ron's favorite Quidditch team, but how did you know that? So it's a roundabout way of him learning that, but it's okay.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Actually, this one here is funny. So during the filming of this one, Alan Rickman banned Matthew Lewis and Rupert Grint from being within 5 meters of his BMW because during filming of Goblet of Fire, they spilled a milkshake in his car.
Oh.
And he didn't want them spilling a milkshake in his new BMW.
That's funny.
I got one.
Okay.
So, Helena Bonham Carter was originally supposed to be Bellatrix.
Oh.
She replaced Helen McCrory, who we know in the next movie as Narcissa.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was, Helen was cast first, but since she was pregnant, she couldn't do the film. And so Helena took over for her.
Interesting.
So yeah, the Black sisters switched
Places almost. That's interesting. Such a good fit, though. Like, that's definitely a good thing. Although it would be interesting to see What's-Her-Bucket play a crazy person instead of being calm and composed as Narcissa.
Yeah, it would be.
Huh. Ta-da!
So, favorite line?
Let's see. I liked the final one I said of Luna at the end. The things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end. I just thought that was really cool. And then I had a different one. Sorry, I'm digging. Oh, and Molly Weasley telling Fred and George they don't have to whip their wands out for everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is also inappropriate, Molly Weasley, but it's continue.
Dumbledore about the memo and showing up early. He goes, I must have missed it, but I showed up 3 hours early.
By happy accident.
Yeah. You may not like him, Minister, but you can't deny Dumbledore's got style.
Yeah, that was a good one, too.
Molly, when she gives them their scarves and stuff, their Christmas present,
Uh-oh, you'll figure it out.
she goes, just what you wanted, actually. When all this is over, we'll be a proper family, you'll see. That's as far as I got.
Do you have any?
I like the you'll get it eventually, Neville. Just because he's Neville.
He's now like, you'll get it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Jess?
I got a few. It's from Sirius. We have got both dark and light. What matters is what we choose to act on. That's what we truly are.
That's a good one.
Let's see. Dumbledore, it isn't how you are like, it is how you are not. And Harry's, you're the weak one and you'll never know love or friendship, and I feel sorry for you.
I think either the Luna one or the Harry one.
I like the Luna one.
What's
Go with the Luna one then.
What's the Luna one?
The things we lose have a way of coming back to us in the end.
So, our rating?
I'm gonna give this one a 7 as well.
I'll give it an 8.
Jess?
I'm giving this one a 7.
I'm giving this one an 8.
I feel like there wasn't as much left out of this one as far as, like, the book as a whole, but there were a couple of scenes that were slim compared to how they happened in the book. So that's why it's better than Goblet of Fire. Instead of just, like, let's take this whole chunk of the book out and just throw away 300 pages and not use it.
Alright, so our next one is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. So we will see you in a few with that